have no idea why he said that. The scientific theory of Mendaciology. The science of lies, Mendaciology, is a cognitive science. Mendaciology studies lies from the perspective of how the brain of the liar lies and how the brain of the liee can understand the lies. I assume you have read the brief theoretical background about fiat lies and conversational or folk lies. Fiat lies are genocide on the human race. The Internet Court of Lies, Medium.com. I also assume you have read this short article showing how fiat lies and conversational or folk lies work, according to the taxonomy of any lie in any natural human language. Online media lie schooling, Mendaciology training for schools, corporations, governments, non-profits, and personal gratification and certification. Medium.com. Now, let's dive into the summary of the theory itself, which I have only alluded to in the previous 400+ short medium articles in www.medium.com/liecatcher. The theory is presented in much more detail in my 2 books on Amazon, which are also available on Audible. How to GET Your Privacy Back, Amazon.com. How to GET Your Privacy Back ebook, Thibodeau Robert, Kindle Store, www.amazon.com. How to Get Your Lies Back. How to Get Your Lies Back, Thibodeau PhD Robert, on Amazon.com. Free. Shipping on qualifying offers. How to get. www.amazon.com. The theory says that animals with a neocortex organize reality in episodes. In human natural language, these show up as sentences we speak or write, or in movies as shots, and in music as stanzas. Furthermore, a sentence can describe an entire story, a shot an entire movie, and a symphony in a stanza. These are all episodes. In prior work, I have called these things actions. Some people just call them things. The theory says that every episode is fundamentally a well-formed predication. This means it always has at least 2 parts, the subject and predicate. When in school you learned, I hope, to draw the hierarchical grammar of any sentence, you were actually demonstrating that every human knows how to enumerate the predications in every sentence he speaks, understands, reads, writes, sees, or composes. It is significant that any human can do this with very little training for any sentence he understands. These are hierarchical organizations of predications and are strong evidence for their existence in the brain. For example, in the sentence, these are hierarchical organizations of predications, the predications are, these are organizations are of predications, and these organizations are hierarchical. But the neocortex does not appear to organize its episodic memory hierarchically. This has been noted in the cognitive science and AI literature a number of times in the last 30 years. The hierarchies are formed in the need to compose or understand a communication between 2 neocortices, yours and his. Just like your brain has to form a hierarchy of signals to your muscles when you are catching a ball, or your senses have to be hierarchically organized by your brain to make sense of what you see, hear, touch, feel, etc. Attention, thought, and talking to yourself are epiphenomena of this dynamic structuring of episodic knowledge. This statement does not mean that the hierarchies are not present in the neocortex's episodic memories. It is a claim that at best the neocortex organizes episodes as heterarchies, but it is also possible to have it organized as we have been doing in AI for years now, as generalized knowledge graphs which are more general even than heterarchies. We simply do not know what the brain's actual knowledge graphs look like in detail yet. Just like word concepts like dog or run are individually not truths or lies, only predications can be truths or lies. A property of any sentence is that it can be a truth or a lie. While every sentence can be a truth or a lie, we understand sentences by verification not of truth but consistency with our episodic memories. We most often say or understand things without fully deciding these are truths or lies. We can actively decide to figure out whether the episode described by a sentence is a truth or lie, but we do not ordinarily do that. Often we may decide to figure out what predications are truth or lies in their context of other predications, which may further predicate the predication in question. The neocortex can take any subject and any predicate and verify the meaning of reversing them. So, for example, in the sentence, the dog is running, predicates a dog with the predicate run, and it is running like a dog, predicates something running with the predicate dog. This is fundamental. The neocortex computes as what is called a discrimination engine or generalization engine. Actually, at least tens of thousands of them, and quite possibly hundreds of millions of them. We can easily count millions and millions. Neural networks or discrimination, generalization, classification networks in machine learning do this sort of thing. You can recognize that some animal is a dog because you can discriminate it is a dog based on a generalization. It is a generalization because you have never seen that particular dog before, or perhaps that dog under the existing lighting conditions, Or perhaps you just recognize the dog by its bark or smell or touch. And indeed, you can classify it as a dog. The evidence here comes from the fact that nearly every minute of your life is monitored and controlled by our crude engineering mock-ups of these brain networks that we have begun to understand, so-called AI and machine learning technologies. With regard to the determination that a sentence is the truth or a lie, our brains are wired, literally wired, to know that some predications are true because we are seeing something, hearing something, touching something, doing something, or even smelling something, etc. These self-aware sensing and acting computations are part of the predication context of a predication. They are themselves predications on a predication as a subject. These, in the example sentence above, these are hierarchical organizations of predications. We inherently believe that what we sense or do is true. Out of this, the theory says, comes our reliance, for example, on rules of evidence in law. The law places great weight on directly witnessing events, similar for replication in science. More than one scientist can observe something directly. In the media, a video carries great weight because you can see and hear the reported act itself. Now here comes the theory. For every predication, we not only verify its consistency with our episodic memories of other similar predications, we are also on the lookout for surprising new truths. More conservatively said, truths that are not obvious to everybody, based on what our episodic memory says is not obvious or is surprising and new. Our attention goes to this. We may just remember it better than other predications, or try to remember it and succeed, precisely because we feel the evolutionarily useful need to remember new truths we encounter. From this, we deduce that every predication is marked for its information value. These are the effective bits of information conveyed by a sentence. The same sentence in two different predication contexts, the same subject in two different predication contexts, can have different information value. If the conditional information value is high, the brain has a tendency to use its memory control mechanisms, not necessarily in the neocortex, to try to remember it. A lot of educated people will trip into Bayesian theory here, but conditional information value is simpler than that. Bayesian probability theory is just one mathematically cool trick one can play in the world of conditional information values. The more profound sense is that the predication context on a sentence or subject has a major function of assigning an episodic information value to that target predication. Anyone can see this plainly by direct observation if we look for it in how human natural language works. Every complex sentence that contains more than one predication will have some predications presupposed assumed true and others posed as new truth. The main verb in a sentence, for example, is the posed predicator. An adjective, adverb, determiner, etc. typically state low information value assumed predicative truths relative to the main proposition. Other examples of low episodic information value predications marked in any human language are presupposed relative clauses, for example, the dog that barked yesterday, or subsidiary clauses, e.g., the dog ran because that other dog barked. Lies are about deception. This is when one person intends to deceive another person to hide truths. If the intent is to have the person not notice an episode, a predication is not true, or otherwise confuse him on what he might believe is true. Lies can hide truth, or can make the liee erroneously think a lie might be true. In the former case, we forget why we believe the lie was true, and in the latter case, we can't forget the lie because we do not see why it is true. I have no idea why he said that. Obama was not born in America. We must not know what he knows, but we won't forget because the information value is very high if it proves to be true. At the end of my book on privacy, I give the information theoretic conditional predicative marking I propose for how we think as evidenced by how we talk to each other in human natural language. That, pretty much, is why lies are interesting to study in computational cognitive neuroscience, and why you should care. So, my book gives the scientific theory of Mendaciology. But nobody reads books unless the author is famous and on TV, even if it is only about 100 pages. I am a mere scientist trying to scream this out to an audience that does not care to trust me. Here is proof of that statement and why that too is true by the science. It is also how to save us, and mankind in general, from our own genocide. I'm stealing your agency. The Mendaciology of Trust, medium.com.